just a quick message to the people who are complaining about the rules of me versus Mike Tyson. Some TikToker made a video making up all these fake rules, me and Logan tag teaming him, us wearing headgear, all of this. If you believe that, you're a idiot.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson's fight became a major event in the boxing world, and the controversy that surrounded it made headlines everywhere. The story began on July 5th, 2024, when Jake Paul made an unexpected announcement. He told the world that he was canceling his fight with Mike Tyson, citing concerns over Tyson's health. According to Jake, Tyson, who was 58 years old at the time, might not be in the best condition to handle the physical demands of the fight. Jake claimed that he had received medical advice that suggested Tyson's age was a significant factor and that his safety was the top priority. Jake framed his decision as a gesture of respect and concern for the boxing legend, but it didn't take long for things to spiral out of control. The internet was quick to react. Fans, sponsors, and media outlets were all shocked by the sudden announcement. The fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson had been highly anticipated for months, with both fighters gaining attention for their contrasting styles and personalities. Tyson had been training hard for the fight, sharing videos of his intense workouts on social media, and proving that he was still a force to be reckoned with in the ring. The fight was shaping up to be one of the biggest events of the year, and many people were invested in seeing how the matchup would play out. So when Jake suddenly canceled the fight, it left everyone confused and frustrated. Jake had tried to explain himself in a video posted to his YouTube channel, but his explanation didn't do much to calm the backlash. In the video, Jake expressed his disappointment and said that he was heartbroken over the decision. He mentioned how hard he and his team had worked to prepare for the fight and how he felt terrible for everyone involved in the event. He asked fans to understand his reasoning and to move on from the canceled fight. But as you might expect, that didn't sit well with anyone. Promoters who had invested time and money into the fight were angry. Sponsors who had poured millions of dollars into advertising campaigns for the event were furious. Fans who had been looking forward to the fight were left feeling cheated. In an attempt to make things right, Jake announced a new opponent, Mike Perry. Perry, who had a background in MMA but had transitioned to boxing, was a fighter with a reputation for being tough and aggressive. The announcement didn't generate the same level of excitement. Fans were skeptical, and the media questioned whether Jake was dodging the real challenge of facing Mike Tyson. It seemed like no matter what Jake did, he couldn't escape the shadow of the canceled Tyson fight. While Jake was busy trying to promote his new fight, Mike Tyson was quietly plotting his next move. Tyson, who had been preparing for months, was not about to let Jake get away with canceling the fight without consequences.
Mike Tyson has reportedly sued Jake Paul for canceling their upcoming fight. It was reported earlier that the anticipated clash didn't completely fade away, despite widespread disappointment over Tyson's ulcer flare-up. Instead, fans' hopes were deferred as the bout was rescheduled for November.
He quickly hit Jake with a $350 million lawsuit. Tyson's reasoning was simple. The financial losses caused by Jake's decision to back out of the fight were enormous. Major sponsors like Monster Energy and DraftKings had invested heavily in the event, and now all of that money was wasted. TV ads, online campaigns, and even billboards promoting the fight had become worthless overnight. The lawsuit claimed that Jake's actions had caused a massive financial fallout, and Tyson was determined to make him pay. The lawsuit sparked a lot of debate online. Some people argued that the amount was excessive and questioned whether it was even enforceable. Others pointed out that Jake had made a huge mistake by canceling such a high-profile fight, and that he deserved to be held accountable for the losses he had caused. Jake, of course, tried to downplay the situation. He told his fans that the lawsuit was just a misunderstanding and that he still wanted to fight Tyson. He painted himself as the victim of a miscommunication, but Tyson wasn't buying it. Tyson made it clear that if Jake wanted the fight to go ahead, it would have to be on Tyson's terms. And Tyson's terms were brutal. On July 10, 2024, Tyson announced a new set of fight rules that were designed to push Jake Paul to his absolute limits. These new rules transformed the fight from a standard boxing match into a grueling test of endurance, strength, and willpower. One of the most significant changes Tyson made was extending the fight's duration from 8 rounds to 15 rounds. This was a throwback to the old days of boxing, when fighters were expected to go the distance in long, physically demanding matches. For Jake, who was used to shorter fights, this change was a game changer. Fighting for 15 rounds required a completely different level of stamina and endurance. Jake would have to train his body to last much longer in the ring, and he'd need to be strategic about how he used his energy. The extended fight time also meant that there would be more opportunities for mistakes and more chances for Tyson to wear Jake down over time.
So you got the both of us, and we're gonna do this, and we're friends. There's no doubt we're friends, but in that ring, we're not gonna be friends. That's just what it is.
A lot of people are doubting me. You know, I go onto the Instagram comments and I see them all saying, if Jake wins this fight, it's rigged because of how incredible he looks. Age doesn't matter. Age is just a number. He's a killer. He's a warrior. He's been doing this his whole entire life. So it's second nature to him. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I've been doing it at a super high level.
Another major change Tyson made was cutting the rest period between rounds from 1 minute to 30 seconds. Normally, fighters use that 1 minute to catch their breath, receive advice from their trainers, and regroup. But with only 30 seconds to rest, Jake would have to recover much more quickly. This change added another layer of difficulty to an already challenging fight. It made the match even more physically demanding and left Jake with less time to recover between rounds. Tyson, who had experienced long and tough fights throughout his career, knew exactly how difficult this change would be for Jake. Tyson also insisted on using 14-ounce gloves, which are smaller and lighter than the standard 10-ounce gloves used in many professional boxing matches. This change might seem like a small detail, but it had huge implications for the fight. Smaller gloves mean less padding, so each punch lands with more force. This increases the likelihood of a knockout, and it also increases the risk of injury. For Jake, this change meant that he would have to be prepared for harder hits and more powerful punches. Tyson, who was known for his knockout power, would have an even greater advantage with these smaller gloves.
That maybe you're gonna have 18-ounce gloves, you're gonna be wearing headgear. Any truth to any of that?
No, not true at all. Not true. Not true. No true. Listen, this is called an exhibition. But if you look up exhibition, you will not see any of the laws that we're fighting under. This is a fight.
You're going in, this is a real fight, and you're going in to win this fight.
Perhaps the most dramatic rule change was the knockout-only rule. Tyson declared that the fight could not end in a decision. One of the fighters had to be knocked out. This meant that Jake couldn't rely on scoring points through technical moves or footwork. Instead, he would have to go all in, looking for a knockout punch with every round. The knockout-only rule put even more pressure on Jake, who had to risk everything to try to land a knockout blow. For Tyson, this rule was a return to his roots. He had built his career on knockouts, and this rule played right into his strengths.
There seems to be some discrepancy as to who wanted the modified rules with the bigger gloves, shorter rounds. Could both of you address that?
I wanted the shorter rounds because I wanted more action. If we only have 2 minutes, we'll fight more.
It's
Then
gonna
get
be
more action.
It's gonna be a firefight, more punches, and it's gonna be a sprint in there.
Another brutal twist Tyson introduced was the Iron Man round. This was a single round where there would be no breaks or stoppages for the entire 3 minutes. The fighters would have to keep going, non-stop, for the duration of the round. The Iron Man round was designed to test Jake's stamina and resilience. It was a grueling challenge that required incredible physical and mental toughness. For Tyson, this was another way to gain the upper hand, as he had the experience and the endurance to handle such a difficult round. For Jake, it was uncharted territory. In addition to the physical challenges, Tyson also introduced random drug testing throughout the training period and before the fight. This rule ensured that both fighters would be competing on a level playing field, with no performance-enhancing substances allowed. For Jake, this meant that he had to be extra careful about his training regimen and what he put into his body. The random drug tests added yet another layer of complexity to an already difficult preparation process. Tyson, who had always prided himself on his natural strength and skill, wanted to make sure that the fight would be a true test of ability. Tyson's final rule was the no clinching rule. In boxing, clinching is a strategy where fighters grab onto each other to slow down the action or take a moment to recover. But Tyson wasn't going to allow any clinching in this fight. He wanted the match to be fast-paced and action-packed, with no breaks for either fighter. This rule put even more pressure on Jake, as he wouldn't be able to use clinching to catch his breath or disrupt Tyson's rhythm. He would have to keep moving and stay active throughout the entire fight.
What is bringing you back? What is luring you back in? Is it kind of like the last Rocky movie and you got stuff in the basement, you need to get it out?
You know, Sean, I have a weird personality. I don't think it's weird, though. Whatever I'm afraid to do, I do it. And that's how it is. I was afraid for the Roy fight.
With all these new rules in place, it became clear that Tyson was setting Jake Paul up for the fight of his life. The question on everyone's mind was whether Jake could handle it. Tyson, with his decades of experience and his legendary toughness, had the upper hand in almost every way. But Jake wasn't backing down. He continued to train, posting videos on social media and promising his fans that he was ready for the challenge. The fight, now rescheduled for November 15th, 2024, was shaping up to be one of the most talked about events in boxing history. As the fight date approached, the anticipation grew. We were eager to see if Jake could survive Tyson's brutal new rules, or if the veteran boxer would knock him out cold. Promoters ramped up the hype, reminding everyone that this could be one of the biggest fights ever. With millions of dollars on the line and so much at stake for both fighters, the pressure was immense. Tyson, as always, remained calm and confident. For him, this was just another fight. But for Jake, this was a make-or-break moment in his career. Tyson's new rules had completely changed the dynamics of the fight. This wasn't just about who could throw the hardest punch or who had the best footwork. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell while you're down there.